Be me. It's 1991. I have a cutie pie 4-year-old, white, race somewhat is relevant, daughter. Daughter is beautiful, the light of my life, my everything. I love her more than life itself, more than my boring conservative then wife. Gonna refer to my daughter as Hannah because it's the first name I thought of that wasn't hers. She has this friend, Nilaya, a 4-year-old Indian girl. Hannah and Nilaya become best friends in school. Nini, as my daughter calls her, got bullied because she was the only brown girl at school, so a lot of the faggot kids bullied her because they had shitty racist parents. I meet Nini for the first time when she's 6. Nini gets a new school bus that year, and it arrives 20 minutes after school ends every day, so my daughter asks if she can play with her friend until her bus comes. Say yes, supervise them, and chat with a few teachers and other parents who are there. This story gets real fucking dark real fast, though. Just a warning. My daughter introduces Nini as her best friend. They're holding hands and it's so goddamn cute. Hi, Mr. Anand. She's very polite and well-mannered. Kind of shy, though. I talk to her for a bit. Offer her and Hannah some cookies. 20 years later, the most vivid detail about that memory is Nini shyly looking up at me with her pretty brown eyes as she takes that first bite. The kids run off to play. I play with them for a bit, taking Hannah down the slide. Repeat this for the first week of school. By the second week, Nini is noticeably less nervous around me. When we first met, she never touched me. She always stood apart from me. Now, she's not apprehensive at all. She asked me to take her down the slide. Lets me help her on the monkey bars and other climbing objects. One day, things don't go so well. We've been like this for a month now. Nini is without a doubt my favorite out of all my daughter's friends. She's polite, well-behaved, chews with her mouth closed. She's a good influence on my little girl. There's a very angry-looking Indian couple standing at the sidewalk. One day, as we're playing, I hear a loud, screechy woman yelling at us in Punjabi. I don't understand what the fuck she's saying, but I know she's calling Nilaya. The jungle gym, by the way, was on school property. It was fenced in and right beside where the buses picked up the kids so they could play after school. Nini's father comes over to me and yells at me in Punjabi while the mother yells at her. The staff come over because he's causing a scene. Everybody's looking at this, like, what's going on? He tells me in broken English to stay away from his daughter and something about white men being pedophiles. I don't know, he was hard to understand. They take Nini away. The next day, my daughter runs over to me in tears and asks me to take her home. She tells me and the wifey that Nini's parents told her she's not allowed to be friends with Hannah anymore. Apparently, Nini's parents think white people are evil. I don't know why the fuck they moved to a predominantly white country if they hate white people, but fuck it, whatever. Console my daughter. Tell her she can be friends with Nini if she wants. Try to explain to her that racism is wrong and we're all the same inside. So for a few weeks, things are relatively normal. Nini's parents now pick her up from school every day. My daughter and her are still best friends. They talk and play every day. One day, Nini is at the park, so my daughter asks to stay and play with her. Nini gives me a big hug and says hi. She tells me her parents aren't going to be home until late, so she has to be home alone. I'm all for independence, but a 6-year-old girl home alone? Fuck that. Tell Nini I'm not comfortable with her being home alone. I invite her over and she says yes. We have a great time at my house. We watch a movie. She wasn't allowed to watch any movies with magic in them, so she was blown away by the old Disney VHS I put on. We have pizza for dinner because I'm too lazy to cook and the wife is at work. At this point, I should mention that my wife was a nurse and I was a former soldier. I was still looking for something to do for work at that stage of my life. Drive Nini home. She gives me a big, long bear hug and kisses me on the cheek and tells me she doesn't want to go home. I tell her she has to, but she'll probably be able to come over again soon. It hurt to lie to her. Nini leaves. We go home, and 2 hours later, the cops are banging on my door. They arrest me for kidnapping. Eventually, the cops let me go, but warn me to stay away from Nilaya. Daughter tells me that Nini got in a lot of trouble too. Tells me that her mommy spanked her with a belt. Daughter describes Nini's injuries. Nini was definitely beaten. Cuts and bruises covered her body from what I had been told. Tell the school administration. They essentially tell me to bugger off. They can't do anything. That poor girl. Now approaching Christmas holidays, Nini's birthday is December 11th, a month after Hannah's. If I recall correctly, it was a Sunday that year. Daughter wants to get her a gift with her own money. Nini made my daughter and I little friendship bracelets for my daughter's birthday last month. Hannah cried when hers broke. I totally cried when mine broke too. I still have it somewhere, actually. I take Hannah to the mall after school one day to find a gift for Nini. She finds this adorable hair clip with a butterfly on it. Nini loves butterflies. Hannah insists that she use her own allowance to pay for it. I get Nini a little plastic necklace that has an N on it. Hannah gives Nini's the presents on Friday. Monday after school, Hannah tells me Nini's parents found the gifts and got mad at her. She'd gotten beaten because of those gifts. I feel like shit. I feel responsible for causing that poor little girl pain, and I cry my eyes out. I hear a knock at my door that evening. It's Nini's father. Throws the gifts at my face, or what's left of them. They're all broken. He spits on me and calls me a freak, resisting every urge in my body, telling me to beat the ever-living shit out of that guy. Try to talk to him. No dice. He tells me to stay away. Hannah and Nini remain friends, but I don't see her again for another 5 years. Over the course of those years, she would write me cute little handmade cards for my birthday, and my daughter and I would bake things for her. Food was our go-to gift, since Nini could eat the evidence. I got a real job over the course of those 5 years as well. I worked as a cook at a popular restaurant. I worked the mornings, 7 to 4 every day, so that I could get up with my daughter and spend time with her after school. Sometimes Nini's parents come into my restaurant. They would come in with like 6 other Indians. Apparently they all lived together, and her parents were living off the others like leeches, not working. One day I come home from work, and I hear voices coming from my daughter's room. Open the door, get on the floor, everybody walked a dinosaur. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. Could you imagine? I knock on the door. Come in, Daddy. Nini and Hannah playing video games. She's beautiful. She was kind of a pudgy kid, but she's thinned out. She's got long hair and a braid down her back. I remember how nice it was seeing them together, and how funny it was, the contrast between their hair. My daughter's was so short and golden. Nini practically squeals when she sees me, runs over and gives me a big hug. Her family is gone all day, so she has the day to hang out with friends. I let them have fun. She comes down around 5:30 and my daughter takes a bunch of weird stuff out of my fridge. Nini and Hannah make us a nice Indian dinner. It tasted horrible, but I ate every fucking bite. I'd have eaten a truckload of that crap just for the smile Nini and Hannah had on their faces. Try to ask Nini to pass me something, but she's too busy talking to Hannah to hear. Tap on her shoulder and she flinches in pain. Sorry, sir. I have a bruise there. Day continues as normal. While driving Nini home, I turn to her. I tell her if she's ever in trouble or needs somewhere to go, she can always come stay with us. Her parents get a job finally, so Nini comes over every day and I take her home at 5. It was nice. I was starting to love her like she was my own. Wife says I shouldn't encourage them because Nini's family is trouble and I'm going to get in trouble. Respectfully tell my wife to fuck off. On my Saturdays off, I would take the girls out to the mall or for lunch or really anywhere. Shit was good for a long time until the summer. Nini was just like any other girl. She talked about cute boys, listened to NSYNC, loved animals. I took the girls to the zoo one day and they were just amazed. Nini loved the big cats the most. The summer rolled around. One day Nini spent all day at our place. When I drove her home that day, I knew it was going to be a bad night. I saw the cop cars and my heart started beating. Nini started having an anxiety attack. She knew it was coming. I stopped the car at her house. Nini grabs my hand and starts crying as her mom walks out the front door and points us out to the cops. She looks at me. Please don't leave. She's going to hurt me. Please. I didn't get arrested again, but I told the cops about Nini's abuse, and honestly, I regretted it. The cops talked to her parents about what I said, but they ultimately didn't do anything. My daughter tells me that Nini came to school with a black eye the next day. Consider taking my own army rifle down to their house and murdering them all. Reconsider. I want to protect Nini, and I love her like my own daughter, but I can't do anything for her or my own family if I'm in jail for the rest of my life. A week later, I hear someone pounding on my door. It wakes me up, actually. It was around 1 in the morning. It's Nini. Her lip is cut and swollen. She's in her pajamas. I hug her and take her into my house and start tending to her cuts in the kitchen. Hannah and wifey come downstairs. Hannah is holding Nini's hand and comforting her. The wife is yelling at me, demanding I send Nilaya home. It's just chaos. Finally, we agree to call the police. Police officers tell me that they're sorry, but they have no choice. They legally have to bring Nini home. Nini, Hannah, and I beg the cops to reconsider. Nini is clinging to me for protection. Cop is sympathetic, but ultimately we have no choice. Nini is hysterical when they take her away. I tell her it's going to be okay. That was the worst lie I've ever told in my life. Her mother quit her job and began being the jailer from hell. Nini was forbidden from leaving the house unsupervised unless it was for school. Nini would call our house at 1 a.m. every night like clockwork, just for someone to talk to. My daughter and I would be there for her. At school, her mom dropped her off in the mornings right at the bell, took her home for lunch, and picked her up after school. CPS is useless. They said there's no evidence of any abuse going on at that time. They told me what I was calling abuse was just cultural misunderstandings. Fucking bullshit. Nini would write me letters and give them to Hannah during school. I would always reply and send my reply with my daughter to school. For Hannah's 13th birthday, Nini gave her a CD for some boy band she liked. I forget which one, probably NSYNC, but I don't know. On Nini's birthday, she called us at 1 a.m. as usual. We sang happy birthday to her through the phone, and she was so happy. Ever since CPS investigated them, though, things have been getting worse. Her mom tells her she shames the family by being friends with white people and liking white boys and flirting with old white men, threatens her, says if she humiliates her like that again, she'll kill her. She gets caught on the phone one night between Christmas and New Year's. Locks were installed on her door. She's forced to pee herself some nights because she's literally locked in her room. I lose my mind after I hear this, go over to their house with my old army rifle, bang on the door, fire the rifle in the air, and just scream at Nini's family. I tell the dad if they hurt that little girl again, I would come over to his house and shoot him dead. That day is the biggest regret of my life. Get my ass kicked by like 6 cops, arrested, charged with assault and a few other things. Nini's dad. I'm fucking shaking typing this. I'm so angry it's unreal. It's her dad's fault and I get that, but I blame myself so much. I honestly considered killing myself for a few years after because of what he did in response to that day. Nini's dad calls her a whore, thinks I'm acting like this because I'm sleeping with her or something. Says she's a defiled, worthless slut now. Her first time experiencing anything sexual was when her father raped her. I don't know the details. I don't want to know the details, but I know it was violent. Don't see her for a while. She stops writing me letters. She tells my daughter every day that she's suicidal. Hands my daughter a letter one day. Tells her not to read it until she gets home. Hannah and Anon, thank you so much for everything. You two did everything for me. You loved me so much and treated me like family. I thought my family was normal, but Mr. Anon showed me that someone can love me without hurting me. Mr. Anon, I love you so much. Thank you for loving me. Hannah, you're my best friend, and I'll miss you forever. Even though I'm breathing, I'm not alive anymore. I stole my dad's pills. Tonight, I'm gonna swallow them all. Goodbye, Hannah. Mr. Anon, I love you. Immediately call the cops. Rifle was taken by cops when I was arrested, and I still don't have it back. Ring up my army buddy. Tell him the quick version. Tell him to bring his gun. Hannah and I run to the car, drive off. Wife doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Get there. As I get out of the car, 2 cop cars roll up. Ambulance arrives a minute later. They grab her, put her on a stretcher, and take her to the hospital. Tell cops everything, while Nini's parents are screaming. My friend arrives and runs over to me. Nini's rapist fuck of a father comes over to me and shouts in my face about how it's all my fault. I can't resist. Punch him in his cunt face, break his nose, manage to punch him 3 more times before officers grab me. 3 officers, my friend, and 1 paramedic cannot hold me back. I get loose again and charge at him. Cops had to beat me down with batons and cuff me or else I'd have beaten him to death. I'm in a jail cell. My body aches. I broke 2 knuckles on that rapist's jaw, but when I get the call that Nini survived, I smiled. On the hospital bed, Nini confesses to the doctor why she tried to kill herself. Finally, her parents are taken to court, lacking any other family in this country, and since she can't stay at home, she's allowed to stay with us. Thought things would be smooth sailing from there. Nope. She suffers from horrible nightmares every night, has panic attacks like 10 times a day. The simplest shit will trigger her. We pay out the ass for a psychologist for her. She has PTSD worse than some World War II vets I've known. She tries to kill herself 3 more times. Things are bad, but the situation in the courtroom looks good. Her dad gets sentenced to 2 years in jail. My wife and I become her foster parents. I had begun to think that maybe we could all be happy. Nini begins calling me daddy. She took to it pretty quick, actually. The trial ends. It's over. For Nini's 14th birthday, I got her a beautiful necklace with real diamonds and a real sapphire heart in the middle. A $1,500 necklace. But sometimes there just isn't a happy ending. We got her to smile more and be happy again. The mother continued to harass her at every available opportunity. People at school teased her and called her a whore and said she was fucking me. Her only friend was my daughter, which made the teasing worse, since everybody called her a lesbian. Her depression returns. It's now post 9/11, and Nini is brown. I don't know what the straw that broke the camel's back was, but I know that April 7th, 2002 was the worst day of my life. Hannah was with her mother. My ex-wife and I had divorced earlier in the year, and Nini and I lived together in a new apartment, and I got Hannah on the weekends. On that day, I came home and found the note. No more green text. I am not going to read the note to you guys. It's too personal. I walked into her room. The door was wide open. She'd been dead for at least an hour. She hung herself. I cut her down and just sat her on the bed, cuddling and holding her lifeless body, crying and telling her I'm so sorry for failing her, for not being there, for not saving her. I didn't call the cops until I had been there for at least 2 hours, and when they came, they had to pry Nini away from me. Nilaya, my sweet, precious little Nini. I don't give a fuck that we had no blood between us, or that we were different skin colors, or that we came from different religious backgrounds. You always will be, my daughter, and I love you so much. I'm so sorry that I failed you.